Greetings, friends. We used to live in homes. Homes had all the spiritual connotations that go along with living in a community, being rooted to a place. Now we just live in houses, economic units, boxes for sleeping and eating in. There was a time where good architecture contributed to beauty. Now, most of our architecture is ugly. It's functional. It's brutal. Everything is about money now. Look how easily people flip houses. This is the case. Everything is about money. And if everything is about money, we can ask the question, does housing produce wealth for the economy? Does it produce real wealth? Because you can argue yes, but what is actually coming out of housing? Is it producing produce? I mean, fruits and vegetables, something you can eat? Not really. You might have a garden, but that's just for your own use. It's not producing anything like a mine or a factory. So housing does not produce real wealth. It does provide a place for you to live, which is an asset. You need a house to have a better quality of life, which is going to help the economy be more productive. So better quality housing in some way is going to help you. But does it produce any actual real wealth? No, it doesn't. It eats up a lot of real wealth because you have to maintain it, you have to repair it, and of course it produces speculative wealth. It produces a lot of speculative wealth. So people have made a lot of money in the housing market because the housing market goes up and up in price. And if you've bought your house 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you've made a lot of money now if you sell it. You've made fiat currency money, which you can turn into real things. You can turn into real wealth, but for the overall country, the overall economy, that housing still hasn't actually produced anything. Living in a city like Toronto, I see people all the time. It seems to be the number one thing I see on the street is most of the non-private vehicles passing by are something related to construction, whether it's roofing or plumbing or landscaping, and you see lots of construction workers. They started to build condos in this neighborhood. So in that sense, the housing industry produces wealth for the country, speculative wealth. It produces money wealth, but nothing real. There's no real good hard wealth produced there. This housing industry is dominated by the big developers, the big corporate developers who have probably no connection to the local area. Some of them may be foreign, some of them may be from the US. They attract investment. Much of the investment comes from China. So I'm not just talking about detached housing, I'm talking about all housing, including condo towers, which are ubiquitous now. And a lot of these Chinese investors, they own condo properties speculatively to make money, to hold on to them until they want to sell them. And they often are unoccupied. This has been a big problem in Vancouver, I believe, in British Columbia, where the government has gotten involved to clamp down on this. I'm not going to offer any opinion as to what's good or not, how the government should get involved. That's a complicated discussion. But I mean, obviously, unbridled capitalism is not good, just like unbridled socialism. That's all I'll say for here. The reason why real estate agents are like the scum of the earth, along with bankers, along with the media, is because they participate in making everything about money. They are the agents that are making this world about money and not about community. They're also manipulative. They meet with you personally. They try to get, they give you this idea of, it'll be a wonderful community for you. They know community isn't a real thing anymore. They know it's all about money. There are nice real estate agents out there, of course. I just think they're among the scum of the earth. Also, even if you own just a house, you can make money from renting it to tenants. The tenants give you money, so you make money from that. You make money from selling the house once it's gone up in value. But I should have added earlier, if the housing market goes down, if there's a crash in the housing market, then you're not even going to make any speculative money. Then you're not even going to make any fiat currency on it. You're going to lose. But generally, in the West, in most big cities, it seems that, well, maybe not in all big cities, because maybe there's going to be a flight from the big cities with all the chaos which is going on. But generally, in North America, housing values have gone up and up and up because the population is going up. There's only so much space in the big cities. So people keep flooding into the big cities from third world countries. And so our big cities are overpopulated. There's too many people in Toronto. It's an overpopulated city, and yet we just keep building more and more. So that's just going to make housing values go up and up and up. So if you own housing, you're guaranteed to make money speculatively, but you're not producing anything real for the economy. You're using your savvy and your luck to make money off the backs of other people. And of course, it's not just the construction jobs which produce all of these secondary economic effects. There's also, there's the house cleaners, there's the nannies. All the nannies are for families, for taking care of kids, but that kind of goes along with the housing. And then, of course, I mentioned, the other jobs like, plumbers, electricians, roofers. And again, all of these are valuable services. I'm not knocking these things. If you're an electrician, that's great. You have a real skill. But that's a service. You're providing a service. You're not providing a real good. So a real good is the electrical cable that you use, the tools that you use. Some factory had to produce those tools. That is real wealth. If there's suddenly people can't afford housing anymore, then that's not good news for electricians. That's not good news for nannies. That's not good news for carpenters. So that's pretty much all I had to say about whether construction of housing produces wealth for a country. I mean, kind of, but not really. Not if you really want your country to be healthy. I mean, you need housing, but that shouldn't be your primary focus. And from my perspective in Toronto, it's like everything is just housing. Like, is there anything else going on here? Even at the beginning of the lockdown, they were like, oh, okay, condo construction, that can continue. There was never any perceptible halt in the construction industry, despite all the other stuff that's been going on. Getting back to what I was saying about how crazy it is in a place like Toronto, like the average detached house is somewhere around $1 million Canadian dollars. I don't know what that would be US, like maybe 750,000 US dollars for a detached 2 or 3 bedroom house in Toronto. Probably much higher in many places, much higher than $1 million Canadian. Probably close to $1 million US. If you went like further into the city where it's more and more difficult to find detached houses, but in a neighborhood like Rosedale, oh my goodness, maybe $2 million US, who knows, maybe more. That's what it's like. That's why, most millennial families these days, if they're having any kids at all, they're having, their first house. It's not a house. They go in condos. They live in condo towers, which, in my opinion, are designed for insect people. They're insect towers. And the last thing I'll note, not so much about the question in that I was dealing with here, but related to this, I mentioned this a while back, is I'm not really a libertarian, but on this question of housing, we don't own housing. You cannot own housing in Canada and in most of the US, to my knowledge, and certainly not in Europe. You cannot own housing, because what is it to own something? You own it, meaning it's yours. You don't have to pay any money for it. So my electric bike, I don't have to pay anyone money for that. I own it. My electric base, that's mine. I don't have to pay anyone money for that. But with housing, you have to pay property taxes. Maybe the property taxes are very minimal. Fine. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to pay property taxes. That's understandable. That's a debate we can have. It's probably, there's always going to be something you have to contribute to live in a society, of course. So I'm not necessarily a libertarian on this issue, but I am pointing it out that you don't own a house if you have to pay property taxes. Because if you don't pay the property taxes, eventually the government's going to come and they're going to repossess your house. They're going to take your house from you. So that's not ownership. That's just a better rental deal. There's ordinary renters like me, who I only pay $850 for a 2-bedroom apartment here in a neighborhood which is close to the downtown. I'm not downtown. I'm a 20-minute bike ride from downtown. I have a small kitchen. I have a bathroom. I have everything I need on the top of a house. $850, that's the best deal in the city. You would be paying $1,200 or $1,300 normally for what I got. I just got lucky. I have a good relationship with the landlord here. I'm just lucky. That's what it's like. But anyways, it's all renting. It's all renting. It's just when you have more money, you can get a better deal. So now that you can make money from it too. When you purchase a house, you purchase it in quotations. You're still paying property taxes. If it's a condo property, you're still paying maintenance fees. But speculatively, if it goes up in value, you sell it, you make money. So now it's a better deal for you. But nowhere along the line did you ever stop paying the government, stop paying, in the case of a condo, stop paying the building management or whatever. You're always contributing. You're contributing thousands of dollars a year. Thousands of dollars. I'm paying $10,000 a year because I think that's what $850 times 12. It's about roughly $10,000 a year Canadian. If you're owning a house, you're paying. I don't know if you're paying $10,000 a year. It depends on what house you live. You're paying somewhere in that ballpark. You're paying thousands of dollars a year in taxes, which you can afford because you have your nice 6-figure salary. Good, that's great for you. I'm happy for you. So I'm not saying this is bad. I'm not saying that property taxes shouldn't exist, but let's not call it ownership. So I know there's 2 topics in this video. I know I went from the one thing to the other, but I kind of wanted to do it together. Hasta luego, amigos.